Have you ever wondered what actually happens behind the scenes when you open any website? That split second when you're expecting the content to appear as if it's happening by magic. But in reality, it's the browser that is working hard behind the scenes to convert the code into a visual experience. As a front-end engineer, knowing how browsers render web pages is not just a foundational knowledge, but it's also essential in building more faster, seamless, and reliable web experiences. This process is called critical rendering path. It's a series of steps taken by the browser to convert your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code into the pixels that you are seeing on your screen. Today, I'll walk you through all the steps that are present as part of critical rendering path so that you can understand how each and every little piece of code affects your website's performance. It all begins when you request for a web page. This could be either by typing in the URL or by clicking on the link or even by submitting a form. The browser starts by doing a DNS lookup to match the domain name with the IP address. Then it tries to establish a connection with the server through TCP. Next, the server sends back the requested document, and the speed of this step can depend on the network conditions and the server performance. This is a step where each and every millisecond counts. Once the browser receives the HTML, it starts to incrementally parse it. Now you can think of parsing as translating raw HTML into a structure called DOM tree. And this structure represents the entire page. But how does this happen exactly? So first we get the HTML page in form of bytes of data, which are interpreted as characters by the browser, and then they are used to create tokens. And then finally those tokens are used to create nodes. Each and every single DOM node starts with a start tag token and ends with an end tag token. These nodes contain all the relevant information about the HTML element. So one thing to note here is that the greater the number of nodes you have in your HTML code, the longer this process is going to take, which ultimately is going to impact performance. So now if you're wondering how these nodes are created, so they are created using a HTML5 parsing algorithm, which gives us the entire constructed tree. While the HTML page is being parsed, simultaneously, it is also processing linked resources like CSS and JavaScript files. So it will parse all the linked CSS style sheets, and only then it will construct the CSS object model tree, or you can call it as CSS OM tree. CSS is render blocking, which means that the user can't see the content until the resources are downloaded and processed. Which makes sense also, right? Because what if the HTML content has been loaded for the user, but after that, if we are loading the CSS, it might change the positioning of the elements on the screen, which is a very bad user experience, right? So this is a reason why CSS is render blocking. Whereas JavaScript is not render blocking, but parser blocking, which means that if you are not using attributes like async or defer, they will be downloaded and executed as encountered, which can modify the DOM tree and the CSS object model tree. I'll just talk a little bit about the differences between parsing and rendering. Parsing means analyzing the raw HTML code to understand its structure and create a document object model tree within the browser. Whereas rendering is a subsequent step where that parsed data is visually displayed on the screen, taking into account the CSS styles to determine how the elements are being positioned and formatted. The next step is creating a render tree, which combines the DOM and CSS object model tree. This determines what will be displayed and how it will be displayed. But did you know that there are some invisible elements that still affect rendering? Yes. So if you add CSS properties like display none, opacity 0, or visibility hidden, those elements will still be included in the rendering, which means that if too many elements are attributed with these CSS properties, then they might delay other critical tasks. So we can add elements with content hidden visibility so that they are excluded from the rendering path. anything inside the head tag is automatically not rendered. Once the render tree is ready, the browser now moves to the layout phase. This is where it figures out where and how the elements should appear on the page by calculating their width, height, and positions based on the screen size. The viewport meta tag is the key here because it sets the width of the layout viewport, which directly impacts how the page looks. Without it, browsers default to the width of around 960 pixels on full screen. But by adding this meta tag, the layout adjusts to match the device's width and making it more responsive. Every time you rotate your phone or resize your browser, the layout recalculates to fit those new dimensions. Now the final step is painting the pixels on the screen. On the very first load, the whole screen is repainted, but after that, only the affected areas are repainted because the browsers try to optimize the repaints as much as possible. Paint time usually depends on the updates made to the render tree, and while it's usually very fast, it's still important to consider layout and repaint times to measure performance and also understand if it's worth optimizing paint times because it might not always be the biggest win. To wrap it up, let's quickly revisit the key steps in critical rendering path. So we started with navigation, where the browser starts the DNS lookups and server connections to fetch the web page. So the web page is received in form of an HTML document which contains all the other resources like CSS and JavaScript links. Now the HTML is parsed into the DOM tree while CSS and JavaScript are processed in parallel to build CSS object model tree and execute scripts. Then the DOM tree and the CSS object model tree merge to decide what gets displayed and how it gets displayed. Then the browser recalculates element positions and sizes based on the viewport. Finally, the pixels are drawn on the screen, optimized with techniques like repaints and speculative parsing. By understanding these steps, you can spot performance bottlenecks and optimize your code to create faster and more responsive web experiences. Each improvement that you are making in your code contributes to a smoother and a more enjoyable user experience. And that's the wrap on critical rendering path. If you found this video helpful, do let me know in the comment section, and I would love to hear your thoughts or answer any questions that you have. Do like, share and subscribe for more front-end content, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.